Now, it is very clear that no single country can do everything within the country today. There are domains, there are specialities in each country. Belgium makes quality glass. They have expertise, they can only do it. Today in India, if we want to make Belgian glass, we will not be able to make economically enough comparable with them. So let the optimized ecosystem work wherever it is in the world. All over the world, the best thing will come up. And the quality of your products will also evolve accordingly. You see, today Chinese have become more capitalist than capitalist economy themselves. Through backdoor, capitalism has come even in communist countries. Though the party will be called as communist party, but then what they are doing is not communist, what they are doing is capitalist. See, market cannot decide our lives, we should decide the market. How do you distinguish a market leader from others? Average industries follow the market, they do what the market wants. Market leaders literally lead the market wherever they want. Government should produce market leaders. Then the market should throw up the jobs as we require, not as what market requires. Rightly or wrongly, China has become the factory for the world. Of course, in the process, it has also become the pollution capital of the world. While India has become office for the world. The rest of the world is having their antennas up. What will our boys and girls do? So we cannot do something which is damaging the total global ecosystem so much that it will not sustain. Now, government can do anything at policy level. The thing is, we will fail to perform unless it matches our ethos and our tendencies. If we compare with Japanese, for example, one Indian is much better than one Japanese, but 10 Japanese are much better than 10 Indians. Because as a team, they do wonderfully well. They are tuned to working as a team. We are tuned to working as individuals. Another thing is, we don't want to see any individuals or companies dying. Those are our ethos. That's our nature. And that's commendable. We don't have that killer instinct. Let us face it. So we work together. We support each other. We work as a community. So we have to have an economic system that supports all this. Hello friends, I am Avinash Khare, your host, and I welcome you to this series, Technocrat Talks. In this series, we will be dwelling on our blind spots, which have shackled our thinking and which have preconditioned our perceptions into a certain template. We have been suffering because of that. This we are doing through application of engineering sense and cold logic. Welcome to this analytical discussion. If you are new to this channel, please subscribe. Please press the bell icon to get the notifications. If you like the talk, please like it and share it with your friends, so that we increase the community of like-minded, curious minds to take the movement forward. Without much ado, let us start today's talk.
What are the major drawbacks of communism with respect to industrial development?
See, basically, communism started with socialist principle where everybody should have equal opportunities, equal earning, equal kind of life, and where everything was being controlled by government. So, as a result, there was no motivation in any individual to do any outstanding work or to take any risk. Okay. So the problem is, it was entirely orchestrated by government. Government will decide everything. Government will set the agenda. Government will decide how much you can earn, how much you can produce, where you will sell, for how much you will sell, everything. So everything is orchestrated by government as per internal requirement primarily. It was not as per international requirement. So one setback was that it was iron wall. You are stonewalling yourself from rest of the world. So as a result, there cannot be much of international business or exposure. You are within your closed economy, which is government protected, which is having artificially built, artificially nurtured environment and ecosystem, and you are working as per the set rules in that ecosystem and doing what you are supposed to do, and you are getting what you are supposed to get. So no room for enterprise, no room for exercising individual aspirations, creativity, innovation. So it kind of discouraged all of those concepts. And it is, okay, you go by rule book, you work by rule book, you do the job as it should be done as per process, and that's it. So when all the enterprises start working like this, including agriculture and industries and business, so obviously there is no growth of economy. If economy is growing, it is as decided by the government. It will grow only as planned by the government. So it's more like window dressing. It's more like what government wants to see end of the day. But then in real terms, in terms of market competence, in terms of international exposure, having parity with the other countries, it failed there. Okay, so they were there in their own closed environment. And because of internationalization everywhere, now it is very clear that no single country can do everything within the country today. There are domains, there are specialities in each country. For example, if Belgium makes a quality glass, they have expertise, they can only do it. Today in India, if we want to make Belgian glass, we will not be able to make. And we will not be able to make economically enough as comparable with them. We don't have that scale, we don't have that market, we don't have all those ecosystem, right? So let the optimized ecosystem work wherever it is in the world. That's the order of the day. And we just see how do we adjust to that, how we are able to use them to feed us, and we do what we are best at doing at our end. So that we get a premium, they also get a premium for whatever they do best. And then all over the world, the best thing will come up. Only the best, only the fittest will survive, only the best thing will come up. And the quality of your products will also evolve accordingly. Right? So that was one reason why communism failed to deliver, failed to catch up, failed to grow. And eventually, you see today, Chinese have become more capitalist than capitalist economy themselves. So through backdoor, capitalism has come even in communist countries. So though the party will be called as communist party, but then what they are doing is not communist, what they are doing is capitalist. So it's a name change. People know what has happened to Soviet Union. It disintegrated. It could not sustain itself as a single nation, as a single economy. So it fragmented. And China has become more capitalist. So, in fact, none of the communist countries have remained communist.
What was the industrial scenario during the License Raj era from 1947 to 91?
See, initially after independence, there was fear, and rightly so, of total anarchy. Means things going haywire, out of control, because everybody has suddenly become free, so they will do anything. Okay. In order to keep a control, the leaders, thought leaders of those times, felt it right to keep all the controls with them. And since we were a poor country, and we still are, we wanted to economize on our resources and have the right priorities for the businesses. We were not in enviable position so that we can afford some 10 new startups to come one day and 8 of them will die next day and only 2 fittest will survive. Now that kind of luxury we could not afford then, and even today we cannot afford. So license, quota, permit Raj was a measure to control that, so that you assess the market, you assess the survivability of how many players can be there, and you issue so many licenses and allot them quotas so that they will produce only so much. so that you have a handle on how the market moves thereafter. Okay. Now, we started with that. The thought was not so wrong when it started. But then there were all other ills of the system, like favoritism, nepotism, okay, corruption, monopolies, wrongfully given favors to some few, okay. And because of all these factors, our products remained substandard, they remained below par, not comparable with international standard. Our processes were not efficient enough, our processes were not competitive enough, our technology was not competitive enough. We denied our public the premium things, the premium technology, with the argument that we are a poor country, so this is all we can afford. So we restricted the choice available to Indian customers, to the Indian market, and in a way it did not let the technology grow. It restricted the technology into certain template, and that has done more harm actually than good eventually.
What are the major drawbacks of capitalism or free markets with respect to industrial development?
As I said some time back, in free market economy, everything is left to market forces. The government does not control anything. That is another extreme. In communist, government controlled every single thing. In license quota permit Raj, government did try to control some things, at least at top level, at strategic level you can say, or not at day-to-day working level, but at higher level. Okay. But in capitalist economy, there is absolutely no control. And whenever things are left for free market, it leads to all kinds of corruption. Corruption of ethos, corruption of values, corruption of mindset, corruption of priorities. So, whenever we leave things to market forces, you see big queues in front of wine shops. It has a corrupting influence because ironically corruption follows the rules of economics, idealism doesn't. So idealism must be enforced by leadership. Good things must be enforced by leadership. Bad things happen by market forces. Okay? Corruption itself is driven by market force. There is a demand and supply, there is so many laws of economics which are applicable to corruption also. And to underworld also, for that matter. Okay. So another thing happens that, okay, one day 10 people will jump into bandwagon of low-cost airlines. Of them, 8 will die out and only 2 will survive. Can we afford as a nation this kind of colossal waste of resources? Natural resources, economic resources, emotional resources, resources of employment, employability, everything. Societal mindset. Everything takes toll. Free economy will take toll of everything. Just to establish that yes, only fittest will survive. Now, going by the sustainability consideration for the whole world, the environment which is deteriorating, it's thanks to this capitalist economy. If we had planned our industry, our industrial growth, who shall make what and how much, who shall be paid what and how much, we would not have eroded the environment so much. We could have economized on damage to environment, which doesn't happen in free economy. Doesn't happen in free economy. So, no longer we are able to afford, no longer the world is able to afford this. In last 2 decades, we have seen capitalism, communism dying out. In next decade, even capitalism may die out in the same way. It's not going to be sustainable. Coming back to Indian mindset, this mantra that only fittest can survive, it doesn't suit Indians. Do we throw away our aging, old people? As per Indian ethos, we take care of lesser than fittest and make them survive happily. That has been our strength. That has been our moral and cultural stand all these ages. That is a good point about our Indian mindset. Okay? So, we cannot let industry die. Okay? If we can't let our aged, old people die, we can't. How can we let the suffering industry die? We have to take care. We have to nurture. We have to make sure that industry survives. And for that, some empirical planning is required from policymakers. It is required. Before an industry is allowed a go ahead, some workout has to be done of how sustainable it would be, whether it will be able to survive, if not, what kind of help it will require to survive. Okay? And that has to be done. And that's going further, that's the only way before the world, not just India, of how to make everybody who is born to survive happily, gracefully, fruitfully. Okay? So, license, quota, permit, Raj can return in some way, but it is required. Some control is required. Like in Western economies, governments do have some kind of control. For example, in Canada, government does control something. It's not free market like what it is in US. So also in Germany or even in UK, how much salary one will get for a job is decided by government. You can't just jump the jobs and get any salary. So there is some control. There is some control. So that control is very much required. Okay. What we have to take care is that, okay, whatever ills we had of corruption, nepotism, etc., those should not corrupt our picture, the working picture in India. I know it's a tall order, but that is required. That's a wish that we are able to do something which is good for Mother Earth, good for environment, good for sustainability, and which can make us a world-class player in economy.
How has liberalization impacted Indian industrial development?
Liberalization has opened the window to the world. So you have all the premium products flowing into the Indian economy because it was heretofore a protected market. And if you see, okay, India is a poor country, it cannot afford super luxury cars. But then the world realized that even if 1% of Indians are able to afford luxury car, that 1% number is bigger than population of Germany. Right? So that is what is a prime driver why the world is looking at India, because it has been an untapped market with lot of potential as compared to themselves. And our mindset are becoming more liberal. We don't consider it a sin to use a luxury car like what we did at one time. Okay, so that mental block has gone. And Indian industry has learned to work along with their counterparts overseas. So most of what Indian industries are doing is working together with those international players and doing some bit of indigenization here, some localization here. Marketing, sales and marketing is taken over by them fully almost. But otherwise, but in a way now we have an access and handle on some of those technologies that we did not have earlier. So technology is around us and it is easier for us to catch up now. It's available cheaply. Okay. So that is the impact of liberalization, that it has given free flow of technology in the Indian market.
What is your perspective on the role the government should play in controlling economic activity?
Day-to-day working of industry, definitely it should not interfere. But top-level things, strategic things, it should definitely do some empirical checking. For example, how much volumes are sustainable? What should be your level of production? What should be your level of employment? How many people you should employ? Now, industries, when they get subsidized land from government, they promise a big employment potential, but subsequently they forget all that and they start retrenching people left, right and center, and government looks the other way. Now, that should not happen. There should be a gentleman's commitment that, okay, we'll employ so many people, there will be so much of production, this will be our market, okay? And the government then evaluates the sustainability and workability and impact on environment and everything. Improvement on socio-economic system, all that it has to do, due diligence. And then it should nurture that industry if and when required, not otherwise, if and when required, in a limited way. It cannot handhold them fully, full time, but then in a limited way, by way of policy support, by way of some physical resources made available, etc. They should try to support the industries which are slipping out of competence, and they should bring them at par and ensure that they continue to survive. Okay. But beyond that, yes, government should not interfere into their day-to-day work, their balance sheet and all that they should not do, definitely. And they should make the laws and controls easier, a lot easier. Should be very easy to do business. That part they should do, definitely. But yes, that's my take.
Could you discuss the potential implications of over-reliance on market dynamics for job creation?
See, market cannot decide our lives, we should decide the market. Say the mark of market leader. How do you distinguish a market leader from others? Average industries follow the market, they do what the market wants. But market leaders don't do that. Market leaders literally lead the market wherever they want. To give you an example, when somebody launched Maggi noodle in India, did they do based on customer requirement? Did anybody ask in India that they want this product? As market leader, they launched and they have addicted people for that product. And see how it has caught up. Now that is the mark of a market leader. Market leader transforms the market. Does not adjust to the market. Market is driven by market leader. So the government should lead the market. Government should produce market leaders who will transform the market as we require. Okay. And then the market should throw up the jobs as we require, not as what market requires. To give you another example, what did Chinese do to promote technology? At one time, Chinese used to come in all these trade fairs and exhibitions. They used to be present everywhere, but they used to keep a low key. And their stalls were bereft of any premium technology. They were cheaper things, all cheaper things, but not much of technology. But as a policy, their government made moves to take over all the technology development centers from Europe. And now all the technologies are in their backyard. And today you see them in any trade fair. They are showcasing premium technology. In fact, none of the premium technology can sustain without their contribution. Something coming from there. Okay. So that is a game changer. Something similar is required here as well. Something similar is required here. Otherwise, things are going to be difficult. And what has happened that rightly or wrongly, China has become the factory for the world. Of course, in the process, it has also become the pollution capital of the world. While India has become office for the world. Now the problem is sustainability. The rest of the world is having their antennas up. What will our boys and girls do? So we cannot do something which is damaging the total global ecosystem so much that it will not sustain. That is where some judgment is required, how much of what should be done. Okay. Empirically, it has to balance. It has to give us advantage, but sustained advantage. Not advantage only for today. Otherwise, you see what has happened in the Western world. They have developed semiconductor technology, microprocessors and microchips and all. And they must have invested a fortune in developing these technology. They have done a lot of R&D and developed these products. After that, within their corporates, there was a cutthroat competition. So for short-term gains, they have sold off the premium technology at very low cost, assuming that they will earn by way of volumes. Okay. And they have earned by way of volumes, all right, but for a short term. Now what has happened? All these premium technologies have pilfered and they have reached Far East Asia. And now they cannot compete with Far East Asia. And now they don't have any premium technologies to sell to the rest of the world. How do you like it? So they have themselves killed the potential that market held for them. Unwittingly. Due to short-term gain, due to cutthroat competition. Now this is what happens in free market. Because in free market, nobody can tell anybody anything. So they all jostle to make quick money very fast. But in the interest, they lose sight of long-term goals. And then this is what happens. Otherwise, this premium technology, market potential was immense. If they had not watered down the prices so much, they had controlled the volumes, they could have sustained premium sales for maybe 50 years. But how fast they have burnt out of themselves. So free market makes enterprises to burn themselves out very fast. And that's what affects the job creation also. They will create jobs today en masse, and today they will burn out. After 1 year they will burn out very fast, and then they dump everybody. So we can't leave it to free market. And this is what will go on happening.
How do you view the sustainability of economic models that lean heavily towards competitiveness?
Competitiveness is absolutely important. The ill effect of communism was that it had stonewalled everything, so that there was no competitiveness. That was the biggest problem of communism. Now with the internationalized market, the barriers have gone, and so we have to be competent internationally. Many of our companies have global footprints now. If not, we have global aspirations now, at least. So we have to be competitive at global level. There is no denying of the fact. And if we restrict to what we are best at doing, we will be globally competitive. If we try to ape somebody, we will never be as competent as the person who we are trying to copy. Because to cut costs, what we will do? Water down something, cut corners, cut frills. that is going to tell on quality or user friendliness or durability or something. At least the customer will think 10 times that why it is selling so cheap. And it is damaging to sell something very cheap also, as we have seen in semiconductors. It should be price commensurate. If you are watering down the prices so much for whatever reason, it's suicidal. Because market for anything has a limited potential on the whole, which has to be spread over several years and decades. So companies have to have patience and they have to decide their own share out of that. And that is where the government should play in, and they should allot those. That okay, you can earn so much from this, you can earn so much. That's it. That is where the policy level comes. Otherwise, there is dhakka mukki, there is a rush, and then the early bird moves with everything, and then it screws up the market eventually, like what has happened.
Could you elaborate on how the ethos of a society might influence its choice of economic system?
Ethos and tendencies are the two things which, of course, will influence the way we perform. Now, government can do anything at policy level. The thing is, we will fail to perform unless it matches our ethos and our tendencies. Now, our tendencies are, if we compare with Japanese, for example. Now, Japanese are excellent team players. Everybody does his bit of job very well, very efficiently, and as a system they perform very well. 10 Japanese are better than 10 Indians, but one Indian is much better than one Japanese. That's what they say. That's what Japanese say. Yeah. That one Indian is much better than one Japanese, but 10 Japanese are much better than 10 Indians. Because as a team, they do wonderfully well. They are tuned to working as a team. We are tuned to working as individual. Even in sports, you see, cricketers are known for their individual play. We regard individual performers much more than team performers. That has been our nature. So we like to work as individual. We want to play up our individuality in everything. That's our tendency. Now it can be an asset, it can be a liability, both, depending on how and where it is used. Right? So individually we are excellent. We are much more versatile, we are much more adaptive. We like to economize things. We don't like to squander, we don't like to waste. We like to reuse things as much as we can. All these being our plus points. And we want to build a house and not a brick. That's our temperament. Now, the policy has to match with all these. It has to take cognizance of all these, our good or bad or ugly, whatever points we have. Because that's what we are. That's what we have been, and that's what we would like to be also, if I may say so, by nature. So, it does come into picture. Another thing is, we don't want to see any individuals or companies dying. Those are our ethos. We like to support somebody who's not doing well. That's our nature, and that's commendable. So we should make use of it productively rather than going for the free market thing. Because it doesn't match our nature. We don't have that killer instinct. Let us face it. So we work together. We support each other. We work as a community. So we have to have an economic system that supports all this.
What would you say are the potential repercussions of unchecked growth and capacity creations in industries?
See, what has happened, I always give example of automotive industry for two reasons. What are the two reasons? That based on some consultants' advice, they go and enhance their capacity. They plan for new manufacturing facilities, big facilities, and build capacity. And then they keep complaining for decades that market is dull, market is not picking up. We are operating at 40% of our installed capacity and stuff like that. But the reality check is, if you look at the road, where is the bloody place for more cars in cities? Which city do you see parking places? So a reality check would have revealed that only so many cars are sustainable. But that reality check was not done. And capacity was grown on somebody's say-so and somebody's wish thinking. So now we are stuck with overcapacity and we are not able to sustain the volumes. And the government also cannot do pretty much to support the demand for these cars because it's going against environment. Now, government would rather, as a policy, support public transport, say metro system, so that people don't use personal cars as much as possible. And of course, they have not provided for parking places anywhere in the city, commensurate with the number of cars that are expected. So, the writing on the wall is very clear that it's not being supported, it cannot be supported beyond a point. Only some tax SOPs can be given probably to keep them happy for a while. But then in long term, there is no policy support that, okay, so many cars are made, so many parking slots will be made in the city to accommodate so many cars. Now that kind of matchup has not been done and will not be done. It goes against the principle that, okay, you see all the developed countries also. How many people use cars in London? Personal cars. Everybody use tube railway. So that's what the cities ought to be going further. So somebody has misread the numbers, misprojected, and based on that splurged and built capacity, and now to complain. Now another thing is that they keep complaining that auto is a cyclic industry and there is a cyclicity of 5 years. Why it is cyclic has anybody analyzed? Because as soon as the market picks up, everybody rushes with overcapacity. So the market saturates very fast and comes down. Now if all of you don't rush together so fast and you evaluate the overall market potential and you work as per sustained market share, the cyclicity will not come. It is because of free market forces only this is cyclicity has come. The thing is flowing in spurts. Because there is nobody is regulating anybody. So they are all free to do whatever they feel like. This is what happens. So, can we afford it? Should we be doing like this going further? Should we continue to do like this? Is a question.
In your opinion, how can we balance economic sense and ethical considerations in an economic model?
Some controls, some idealism, some good things being enforced by leadership into the free market. The market should be free but not as free as it wants. Market should be free but it has to behave itself. It has to have a limited freedom. Okay. Technology should be there. Technology ingress has to be there. World-class competency has to be there. And we should try to catch up in the sectors where we are lagging historically. We should make some efforts to be self-sustained, self-reliant. All that is fine. But it is going to take a while before we are able to actually do it. And we cannot be cut off in the process with the rest of the world. We have to grow with the world. So it's writing on the wall that we cannot be isolated. We cannot stonewall our economy again to become self-reliant. That cannot happen. And that's not desirable either. Because we also have global aspirations. We also want to sell our stuff overseas. So how can we refuse others to sell here? It's a give and take. Let's be fair. Well, with this, we have come to the end of today's talk. Please take this movement forward. Please share it with your friends. Open Mind is an engineer's workshop, and our goal is to engineer our future. Please press the bell icon to get further notifications. Please like if you have liked the talk, and please do let us have your feedback, your ideas, your comments, your suggestions. Hope to see you in the next talk, Technocrat Talks. Till then, be happy, enjoy. See you next time. Bye-bye.